It was an abbreviated day in the TradFi markets, but that did not stop Tesla from going on an absolute piss missile run. We will talk about all of that. We're going to discuss the latest on the crypto regulatory front. Before we get going, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. Nothing Kevin or I say is financial advice. We are not financial advisors. We're a few guys who love following the markets. So please do your own research before making any buys or sells. Kev, we had data out yesterday. We knew Tesla was going to be up today because yesterday, we found out that they delivered their highest number of cars in a quarter for Q2 of this year, 466,000, beat estimates by about 10%. They're up 10% month over month, 88% year over year. That led to a very nice 6.9% increase in their share price today. They're approaching $1 trillion valuation again. Wild times for Tesla shareholders. If you had bought Tesla back when it was called dead last year, you are just rolling in it right now. What else is catching your eye as we begin a lighter week in the markets with a half day today and the markets close tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's not too much in the TradFi itself. I think it's pretty impressive to see Tesla, nearing that $1 trillion market cap. Obviously, Apple had a great day on Friday. We're seeing a lot of these stocks that are absolutely just gone up. And when we're talking about these stocks, it's pretty much the same seven that have been kicking ass for the beginning of the year. Am I surprised that it's going up still? No. I think there's just so many short sellers to the point where it's like, okay, they're just going to let this go to the point of exhaustion where no one's like, you know what, I don't even want to hold this position anymore. I give up on the market. It's kind of that type of mentality I'm getting from a lot of these, Tesla, Apple, Nvidia, a lot of these stocks that are just keep going up. There's like no resistance on the way up at all. So that's what I'm seeing with those. With crypto, I'm a little bit more interested because there's a lot of stuff going on. I think in the background, we're seeing a bit of a pump that we saw with a lot of altcoins, which is really interesting to me because we do know that Celsius now has the ability to sell their tokens. A lot of them were, Cardano, Matic, Litecoin, Chainlink, Aave. I think a couple of others, and they were going to dump those into Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? I don't necessarily think that they're going to be in a position to buy Bitcoin at 31,000. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do want to buy Bitcoin here, but for the most part, I think that they are sitting. I don't know if they even sold anything yet. That'll be really interesting to see, but I think it's something that a lot of us forgot about, and the price is kind of pumped up into a place where it's higher for them to sell from. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on. And then again, we have tons of regulatory stuff. We know that on the 15th of July, we're going to start seeing KYC for KuCoin. So pretty much
Let's
VPNs.
talk about that in a little bit.
All right.
I want to save that for a little bit later because I think that's a more interesting conversation than kind of leading up front with it. Let me real quick just go through. We also saw on the electric car front, BYD, the largest automaker in China, reported selling 700,000 electric vehicles in Q2. That's their biggest month ever. That's pretty massive. This week ahead, we have nothing tomorrow because the markets are closed for 4th of July. Wednesday, we get the June FOMC minutes. The language of those oftentimes can move the markets a bit. I think with how well everyone is, anticipating a rate hike later this month, I don't think there's too much that's going to happen there. Then we get a lot of the data on the back half of the week. We got the JOLTS report, so the job openings report on Thursday. We'll get another, the ADP employment report that looks more at the private sector. We have initial jobless claims that day as well. Then Friday, we have the non-farms payroll. We have the unemployment rate. We have hourly wages. So a lot of data in the last couple of days of this week that will, from all intents and purposes, looks like it's more going to impact the September number. It seems very likely that July is locked in as 25 basis points. I think that's, it would take an act of God to get it to be no hike. It would have to take an employment rate would have to, or unemployment rate would have to go to like 4.5% or 4% for them to not hike. So I think that'll be interesting as far as how the market prices that, and we'll look at the date, the probabilities there, but how that prices it for September. So that's what we're looking at this week in the markets. Let's, TradFi, like you said, pretty boring. I think it's going to stay that way until we get some more of this information out later this week. But let's talk about the Celsius stuff now that we have that out of the way. So, you brought that up. You brought up the KYC with KuCoin, which is, I would say, outside of, we can't really use Binance here. So I would say in the US, probably the most popular trading platform, especially for those who want to, short and long with leverage. So give us kind of the breakdown there, what you see happening, and how you're preparing for it.
Yeah, definitely. So I was affected by the KYC with KuCoin. Obviously, I used to get all my coins that I couldn't find on, the exchanges like Coinbase or Binance.us. You just don't have the exposure to a lot of these altcoins that you think are potentially going to go up. Like, it's almost impossible to buy XRP in the United States. I do think you can buy XRP on KuCoin still. But yeah, they're rolling out these KYC, regulations, these rules to comply with jurisdictions. I think they're seeing a lot of what's happening with Binance, and they don't want to lose a lot of their market. However, by them doing this, in the name of, obviously, they don't want to see anyone doing any illegal trading or illegal businesses or trying to wash money through their exchange. That's why they're saying, KYC. In the process of this, they're shooting themselves in the foot because, again, like you said, I think KuCoin is a pretty massive exchange in the United States for a lot of people who don't want to use the Binance, that don't want to use Coinbase, that want to have, the ability to use these products such as, futures trading, margin trading, ETFs, stuff like that. There's tons of exposure you can have through KuCoin. They offer tons of products. And by them doing this, this pretty much means that if you're in the United States, doesn't matter if you have a VPN or not, you have to prove with, official ID, passport, whatever, that you are a resident of that nation. And this is where you're currently residing in. And that pretty much tells you if you're able to trade on the platform or not. So for people who don't get the KYC before July 15th, they would have to, they wouldn't be any access to KuCoin at all. But if you were on the exchange prior and you had registered before the 15th, and obviously I had done so, years ago, you technically cannot have full access to all of KuCoin's, services. So pretty much if you had a position, you can't add more to it. There's no deposits that are available for you. You can withdraw, you can close your position, you could, demargin a lot or deleverage your position as well. So this is not necessarily great stuff if you want to be making money, especially if you have a position like, again, you guys know long term how bearish I am on the market. So I expected to be holding my position for a period of time. Last night, full disclosure, I did have to close those positions because I just don't want my funds on an exchange or those positions being held on an exchange that, first off, isn't going to be legal in my territory. I don't want to get any trouble with the SEC or anything like that. Again, I'm, whatever people want to say about the SEC, that's on you. I'm not gonna try and reinvent the wheel and get around this stuff. I'm gonna be a good boy. Unfortunately, I gotta set a good example for everyone. We get out after we make our money. But point is, with KuCoin and everything like that, it's like, who wants to risk having their funds on an exchange that's not legal in their country? Personally, I don't. So there has to be. I'm not going to tell you other exchanges in case they want to also KYC in the next 12 months before this bear market absolutely collapses. But I'm sure you can find some ones that are in the United States that are available to U.S. customers. If you are in the U.S., if you're outside the U.S., you have way more options. But those that you can do futures trading, other types of leverage trading that you can use their products for. But I think this is absolutely a blow to KuCoin. I think there's so much volume that's going to exit this exchange, and it's going to be very similar to what I think is happening with Binance. Binance is absolutely losing out on so many of these markets because they're having to close down operations in these countries. With KuCoin, even though they're kind of doing it by hand, they're doing it to themselves. You have to understand how much money is probably being flowed in and out from the United States alone, right? Without KYC. Like, this is tons of Tether, tons of other stable coins that are going in and out. I don't think anyone on KuCoin is really using fiat, to be honest with you. They're either sending it from Coinbase to the exchange or from another exchange, and that's how they're operating. But yeah, this is going to absolutely hurt KuCoin. And to be honest, I'm not going to say this is an opportunity. It is an opportunity if you know what you're looking for. This could be an opportunity to, find a new exchange where maybe you feel like your funds are going to be a little bit safer. You don't have to worry about that information, being released or required of you to trade. Again, you want the privacy to transact. There are some other exchanges that allow that. I think it's also going to hurt the price of KuCoin's native token, KCS. So it's pretty high right now. I'm actually going to pull it up right now just because it's I'm not telling you guys to short it. That's what I'm trying to get to that point. I'm not telling you, I can't tell you to short it whether you want to or not. I can only show you what I'm seeing on the charts, but I do think that this is bad news for the exchange itself. And if volumes are low, I don't necessarily believe in the token's going to do well. That would make sense, right? That's what's happening with Binance. Binance is losing tons of places where they can operate. BNB is going down. BNB is going up a little bit, but we'll talk about that in a bit. I don't think that's going to be long lived. But here's KCS. This is on KuCoin itself. And we can see on the weekly, obviously it's climbing up. It went down, but it had a pretty good move to the run up to the upside. We can see that the 15 to 200 in this area are pretty close. So they are on the way down. But if we look at the daily, we can see that we're getting close to overbought, right? We came up. This seems like this was just a bit of a liquidation. It's coming back down. Maybe we're trying to find some type of support. But for me, I think it's going to hit its head on the 50 moving average. And again, the 50 is below the 200, which tells me that there is bearish continuation. I think that, we've hit our head on the 50 and we broke above it, but we broke right under it back here in, June 16th of this year. I think that if we go to test the 50 again, we're overbought and the volumes are fairly low. There's a good chance that we could potentially get another rejection, right? Does it have to? No, absolutely not. Like anything can happen. But again, we get rejected here, it's likely we're going to come down. We're going to have to find some support. One level of support I see for KuCoin is the $5.12. I'm not saying it's necessarily going to go there right away, but I do think if we do get rejected from this 50 and we start to push and move down here, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that we could potentially hit, 512. It'd be a 25% drop. And then if we look back even further, we have some support on this level. So maybe that does offer some support here because we wicked down to it, bounced up, wicked down, bounced up. Done it quite a few times. I wouldn't be surprised if we also do it again here. And again, with the volumes being low in the US, you're pretty much eliminating a huge market. Who's going to be using KuCoin? I think it's just going to be a max exodus of people that are going to find the new exchange, similar to how I had to find the new exchange to open up some of those shorts. So that's what I see with KuCoin. I think it's going to be detrimental for the exchange itself. Will it survive? I think so. But it just goes to show you that regulation is definitely affecting some of these exchanges and your opportunities to make money. And again, these products like futures trading, these are products that's the only way you can potentially make money, shorting the market, right? You can't, maybe you could spot and then buy, you have to wait. But if you want to make money on the way down, futures trading is probably the only way you're going to be able to do it in this market. Or you can manipulate it either way. But that's the only way I could say, hey man, they're doing it. They're doing it to us. I'm just pointing out what I see. You can only adapt or accept in life, right? So if the exchange, you can't operate in the exchange, just find a new one. Otherwise, just take your money, put it in the bank if you want to. It's not financial advice, but if you don't want to be exposed to an exchange that might absolutely freeze your funds because you're in the wrong country, then those are your only options. Just figure it out for yourself. But KuCoin doesn't look good in my opinion, especially going in deeper into this bear market.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add on the Celsius side of things?
Oh yeah, I got tons of Celsius.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well,
that's
let's keep it rolling then.
This has been a fun weekend for me because I'm like, why the hell are prices pushing up? And then someone on Twitter and then at the YouTube channel I like, Cheeky Crypto, they were talking about Celsius. I'm like, oh yeah, weren't they supposed to sell all their altcoins and put it into Bitcoin and Ethereum pretty soon? And it
was supposed to happen July 1st.
I think they were allowed to start doing it on July 1st, but I don't necessarily think that means they did it. So that's my main concern because the price is still pushing up for a lot of altcoins. And that's what kind of scares me because if we look at ADA or Matic, which are two of their largest holdings, I believe they had, price keeps pushing up. And that tells me that they haven't really sold. Like I believe, what was it for? On their core documents, it said December of last year, they controlled 90 million Matic and 103 million ADA. So that's a good amount of change flowing around there. Do I think it's going to affect the price a ton? I don't know, but if they're going to move it into Bitcoin or Ethereum, that's definitely going to affect Bitcoin dominance, and that's going to in turn drag alts down. And I think that one thing we're seeing a lot of price pushing up. It's not great price pushing up, right? But it's enough to the point where it's like we're seeing some good returns from people who are buying down here. Let's see. This is Cardano chart. Yeah, this is Cardano right now. We can see that it is currently around 29 cents, 29.6. We're looking for, I don't know what we're looking for up here. I think we're looking for rejection pretty soon. I don't think we're necessarily going to come back up here into this range. I think that we're going to find some maybe resistance here on the 50 moving average on the day. We can see that we're completely overbought right now on the daily stochastic RSI. Volumes are pretty low. And if I'm going to be a little asshole right here and see if this is putting in a parallel channel, it likely is, right? Let's see if I can pull this back. Yeah, it's just head ass. It's trading in a parallel channel. You got a 50 moving average right here that's probably going to serve as resistance. Stochastic RSI is pretty overbought. And we know that Celsius is going to be selling these tokens. And we also know that Bitcoin dominance, is starting to see a bit of a rebound today with Bitcoin over 31,000. Last I saw Bitcoin was 31.2. but it looks like it's pulled back a little bit. It's up $513 in the day, but that does make a pretty big difference. Also, with Ethereum shooting up too, that is going to make a huge difference for altcoins. So now the altcoin trading pair for ETH and for Bitcoin is going to be, just as detrimental for a lot of these smaller altcoins. So I see
as we see, if you look at on the year, we know Bitcoin's up like almost 90%. Whereas, Cardano's barely up. Stuff like Matic is down on the year. At some point, the people who are left holding these are going to capitulate. They're going to be like, screw it. I'm sick of holding this, asset that's just chopping. I'm just going to throw in a Bitcoin. And
exactly,
it just feels like it's getting set up for someone to pull the rug out. And this is where it gets fun. Like this game of chess that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Like all of the big money managers that at least speak to the media. And, to me, the market movers aren't the ones who are doing interviews with Bloomberg, right?
Nope.
They're sitting back in their castles. But so it's an interesting scenario where the money managers are calling for, this second half of the year, big pullback. You got some of the BTC maxis who are saying we're going back to all-time highs this year. I don't know if I believe that, but at some point, the market makers are going to pull the rug out from under them, and you have to wonder if when we see these FOMO buys continuing to roll in, and when we have people who are short, who like you talk about Bitcoin going to 35 here, even though a lot of people are short, like are we looking at this chess match of, okay, people are short, we're going to push the price up, they're going to give up on their shorts, they're going to capitulate toward buying Bitcoin at 35, expecting it to go to 60. And that's when we make, when things get ugly. So it's a really weird space. And this is why, like, for most people, trying to time the market is just an absolute disaster of a move.
Oh yeah, 100%. Again, this is so much fun in my opinion. This is like, all right, let's see where these fuckers mess up. And again, that's really what trading is, right? Just out trade the guy next to you. I mean, that's pretty much how you survive in this game. And I think that's looking at a lot of the things that are adding up here and just knowing, I think the gut feeling that I have that we're going to see a massive pullback, that a lot of, money managers are also expecting a huge pullback in TradFi and crypto as well. I think that's that disbelief point to where they could push it up just a little bit higher, like we were talking about. I think that there's tons of liquidity that's being built below us currently with Bitcoin. And again, I think this is Bitcoin's market and everyone else is just its bitch when we talk about crypto right now. Like, there's no other way to say it. This is, Bitcoin dominance might drop down a little bit. ETH might be pushing up a little bit here or there. But for the most part, Bitcoin still got 51% of the entire market caps that it makes up. So those trading pairs are absolutely going to be decimated if Bitcoin goes up further or if it goes down here, because there's not going to be any money that's going to be flowing into these other coins when Bitcoin itself is bringing the entire market down. So we have to be thinking about that. But then there's also just like the psychology of people who are willing to, give up on their convictions. Like you said, I think that we're trying to see short exhaustion because there's just so many people that do anticipate this market to go down, but we're not seeing it yet, right? So they're just pushing it up, having people put in more money into their short positions till they get liquidated. And once they give up and they say, hey, maybe I'm just going to sit on the sidelines for now, and no one else is propping this market up, then we realize how much money is actually sitting below us in liquidations for our people who are going long here and have been going long since, I don't know, 25K, right? Even before that, like 18K, I think there's definitely people who have definitely held a lot of futures longs from some of those levels, and it's really dangerous. We see tons of CME gaps, right, for futures. The one at 35K, there's one at 20K, and there's also one right under 10K. So are we going to fill all those? That's a huge question that we have to keep in mind too. So that's the TradFi aspect of Bitcoin. We also have the, our retail and institutional based ventures that we see with people in their positions. So there's so much stuff that we have to keep in mind, but things are just getting to a point where it's like, okay, something is going to give. And are we going to believe in what everyone else is doing? Or are we going to believe in some of like thinking about the psychology of what people might be doing next? And also, what's adding up here in the charts. And so I want to pull up Matic as well, because very similarly to Cardano, Matic is doing something very much the same. We see that we're putting in a parallel channel down here, right? And this could honestly be fit in multiple ways. I could even say it's like that. There's another parallel channel within it. So there's tons of channels within here, but 71 cents is where we currently are at. I'm actually Looks like we're going to hit 74 cents, 74.56. That's where the 50 moving average is currently sitting on. This has been a huge level of support. I honestly thought that's where we were going to find some support when we dropped from around 89 cents. We crashed all the way through it because of the SEC, right? But now that we're below it, and this is support back here, it's been support back here, it's been support back here, it's been support back here. And even granted back here, this is what, July of 2022. That was when we got that rally. Not surprised we broke through support here at that 74 cent level. But now we're in a different place than we were back then, right? We're towards the end of a move, not towards the beginning of one. And when I see this right here, this is like, are we going to find resistance on the 74 cent? And if we do, what does that mean for Matic? Well, we're in a parallel channel. We're completely overbought on the daily, so I do expect to move down. It doesn't mean that we can't stay up here for a few days. We can't wick up to this and get rejected. We have to think about Celsius that's also selling. We have to think about Bitcoin dominance continuing to go up. We have to think about Matic against Bitcoin, Matic against Ethereum, excuse me. And we got to think about the total market cap, both for just altcoins and then also for just the entire crypto space. So when I see this here, excuse me, I don't even know what's going on right now. I lost my spot. My bad. Yeah, I lost my spot. I was trying to look for it and my eyes went blank. Here it is. Yeah. So for Matic, obviously we're going closer to 72 cents now, but the volumes are extremely low. Like we saw more volume on the selling here than we are seeing on the push up, which tells me that, okay, it's a bit of divergence. It's coming down as the price is pushing up. That means that we're probably going to get close to the end of the move. And again, I think that a lot of people are possibly going long here, but what are we doing? What are we doing when we look at this in the big picture? We're putting in a parallel channel, right? Put one in right here too. Came down. Where else do we put in a parallel channel? We say we put one right here. From right here to there. Put in a parallel channel there. Boom, down, right? We're seeing these patterns. They tend to break to the downside. I don't give up on these because I do think that we are going to break to the downside once again. And again, we could break to the downside and then we see a little bit of a relief rally. That's very possible. But we're also looking at this on the daily, right? And if the origin of this move is at 51 cents and we're currently heading towards 74 cents, 74.26, 74.50 cent around there, I do expect this to break down pretty significantly. I would expect at least the 51 cent to be tested again, or we go down a little bit lower. And again, you and I are, 30 cents is by December 5th. That's where we made that $100 bet back on the old show. Well, we hit it. I honestly can't tell you whether we will or not by December 5th, but I do think that we are going to hit 30 cents. I'm open to us going lower than 30 cents as well. I know that sounds crazy, but I think that, there are some levels of support. Really depends on how long Bitcoin is being dragged out. The fact that it goes to 35K and, we're on the downwards move and say Bitcoin wants to hit all of these gaps on the Bitcoin futures for, Chicago Mercantile Exchange. If it wants to hit all of them, that means it would have to go to 35K, which means dominance would be going up. Then it would have to go down to 20K, right? So that means it would have to drop $15,000 to get there. Imagine what that would do to alts, right? And then say it wants to, massive end of capitulation. We go down to that 9,700 level, 9,700 for Bitcoin. What would that absolutely do to alts? That could bring them down so bad, so significantly. Bitcoin dominance could be bleeding out, but it doesn't matter at that point because Bitcoin's bleeding out, so everything else is bleeding out with it because the dominance was just so high. That's kind of the mentality you have to have with some of these altcoins. So yeah, we're seeing a little bit of it pushing up, but we're also seeing resistance on the daily. If I want to look at the weekly and the monthly, obviously it's going to be a little bit of a different story. The weekly is looks like it has some room to the upside. However, the structure itself could be something that we're not seeing on the weekly. You may have to go to the monthly to see what's really going on. All right. For the monthly, let me just be, play devil's advocate here and say, we're going to find some relief rally, right? Or say this is a three-wave pattern where you're just going to make a quick correction to the downside. So, if we're looking at this, I would expect this break from the monthly where we broke out of this channel that we were talking about since last year. It stayed almost there for an entire year. We could say that it's wave one, wave two, say right here at 74 cents. And then we could say wave three comes down to 30 cents, right? I think these are the structures we have to keep an eye on. However, this move right up here looks like a three-wave move. So I anticipate this being a five-wave move to the downside. So that would be deeper than what I anticipated, just looking at it on the monthly. So if let's say 5, so that'd be, let's go from the height down 1, say 2, say 3, 4, 5. I don't know, something like that. I'm not going to actually put actual projections on targets and everything like that. But we see the monthly, it's going down. It's not overbought, it's not oversold, but it is going towards the oversold. So I anticipate that it's going to finish that out. And the price going up on the short term, the daily time frame, that doesn't necessarily worry me too much. I think that we're going to find some resistance around that 74-cent level. So that's a lot of information for Cardano and Matic. We haven't really jumped into the altcoin charts in a while, but it's definitely important to be looking at some of these structures. I could do the same thing for BNB real quick. It's the last one we'll do for some of these crazy altcoins that some of us are shorting, some of us are just waiting to absolutely collapse. But this is on the monthly for BNB. We're on KuCoin. Probably gonna have to switch this pretty soon to a new chart, because I will not be using KuCoin for data. But so here we are on, this is the daily. The origin of this move to the parallel channel was at 221. We hit that back on Wednesday of last week. And now we're here at $248. And today we went all the way to the top of this channel and we hit 255, right? 255 is pretty important. We didn't hit this bottom of this channel here, the bigger one that we broke out of, which tells me that this is serving as resistance. We can see the stochastic RSI is overbought here on the daily as well. And if we're putting in a channel like this and we're breaking out of it, then likely we're going to come back down. I would anticipate at least the origin. And again, the origin is about $11 above where, or not even $9 above where, the 213 level is. And that 213 level is so important. If that breaks, there's a good chance you're going to $183. And if that doesn't hold, that's like minimal support there, you're going to 150, right? And 150 is a pretty big support for Binance, because again, if we look at this on the weekly or the monthly, there's a huge gap in between this area. There's not a lot of support. Like that 180 I'm talking about is literally a wick that we got back in March of 21. I don't think that'll hold. Obviously 150, we found some support. That's where we got some resistance here, but then at the same time we bounced off of it. We wicked up. And then after that, we have so much more down to the downside. So if we're looking at this entire move, let me remove this yellow line here so we can see better. If we're looking at this entire move, we can see that it's parallel channel. We broke out of this channel. It's coming down now, right? Let's go to the monthly. You can see head, ass, and it looks like we're going south of this right now. We're going to probably find some rejection here. And if we're looking at like macro, big picture, this is likely to go down a little bit further than the origin over here, which tells me that 150 is in the cards on the monthly. And with the exchanges that are constantly being drawn out to the point where no one can transact on them, every country that's just eliminating Binance's services in their country, I mean, where are they going to generate money from? I think that what we are seeing is money being pushing the price up to the point where they could sell from higher, because this is likely to come down. I'm not going to tell you it's going to come down today or tomorrow, but I do expect, 12 months from now, this chart that we're looking at right now is going to look very different, and it's going to be more colorful in to the downside. I don't know where I was going with that, but it ain't gonna look.
It's gonna be a lot more red than it is right now.
If your favorite color is red, you're gonna like this chart in a few months. But again, I can't tell you that it's financial advice, but just from what I'm seeing, breaks from these parallel channels do go to the downside pretty significantly, depending on the structures that are in play. And if I'm looking at Binance on the monthly, we could honestly even say, let's where this, you can say here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we can say 5, something like that. Or it could even be more sinister than I am and say,
Kevin, what is even going on right now?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then next thing you know, you're negative $62 per coin. That's a joke. But I mean, if there is a collapse, we could see something like that. But again, a lot of these exchanges, I don't see the value in some of these exchange tokens when the volumes are so low and people are not necessarily transacting on them. Like, sure, the price is going up, but how long is that going to be sustainable for if all these jurisdictions are not allowing these exchanges to have, people transact on their exchange? Like, the volumes are low. I don't expect the exchange token to be going up in price. That seems like a manipulated market in terms of just common sense. But what do I know? I'm just a talking head on a screen right now.
All right, man. I think we are going to wrap it up with that. We'll be back on Wednesday. No show tomorrow. We're going to go enjoy the 4th of July holiday. Those in the States, I hope you do as well. Stay safe, have some fun. Exchange tokens are suspect AF. Ace, you are not wrong about that, my man.
Take a look at Kronos. What has happened?
Time and again, we've seen these these exchange tokens just get absolutely wrecked. So no interest in any of those. But have a great 4th of July, everyone. Enjoy the time. Have some fun. Go blow some stuff up. Stay safe. All that jazz. We'll be back on Wednesday. Same time, same place. More data to go over. I'm sure there'll be some exciting stuff to happen between now and then. So have a great rest of your day, everybody. If you have not yet, hit those buttons down below. Like, subscribe, drop a comment, share us out on social media. All of those good things. They mean a lot. I know it's a lot to take in. Appreciate everybody. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone. Protect your fingers.